Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy. For today's video, we got a video about Austin Sweat. Link to his channel in the description below. Titled 10 Superstar NBA Players Who Must Be Traded. Man, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you are the GM, the owner of this team, you must trade this superstar player, guys. So, I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and opinions on if I think this player should be traded. And if I do, which team I think should go for. So, here we go. Let's check this out, my friends.
Today we're looking at 10 superstar
Damian
players
Lillard, not
that
traded.
must
We're not
be
trade.
traded
We're not trade Damian.
soon. And this video is going to get a lot of people upset and saying, why would you trade this person or that person? But
Only
let's
the
keep in
purple
mind,
crybabies get upset about
similar
stuff
to this
like
was
that.
a few years ago. And in
there's a lot of them on
Carmelo
YouTube.
Anthony needed to be
Not
traded
hurt
from the
feelings.
OKC Thunder, and Kyle Lowry or DeMar DeRozan needed to be traded from the Toronto Raptors. At the time, Melo had just gotten there, and the Raptors had the best record in the Eastern Conference. And that became my most disliked video ever.
Oh,
So
wow.
much so that I
11
just had to
million
end up taking it
dislikes?
down. But just less than 1 year later, Carmelo gets traded, everyone agrees that he wasn't a great teammate, and DeMar gets traded and they win a championship. Hey,
You know what? And that's the thing about it. I literally had to post this on my Twitter account yesterday, guys. Like, I've literally said, like, almost that same exact thing. I said that, it's easy to go with the flow and go with the easy take that everybody else is having. But it takes a man out there, to go against the grain, guys. It's really, if you believe in something, then believe in it. Don't be influenced by the haters because, those people that are hating on you are the people that would never believe in you in the first place, man. Like, even if you get it right, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, if you have a feeling about something and you're true to it, like, you almost got to block out the noise. So I'm mainly relating that to the Miami Heat. Because, a lot of people just, like, I posted about the Heat, potentially win a championship, and, people are just like, can you imagine voting against the Lakers? And I'm just like, can you imagine, like, not thinking a team that's in the NBA Finals can win the Finals? Like, I just don't get that, but okay, yeah.
What I'm saying is, if any of these
That's a
sound
different
crazy
rant
now,
for a different
just give
day.
it some time. And okay, I know it probably doesn't help that I'm starting number 1 off with James Harden, but like I said, give it some time and let me explain. For the past 8 years since joining the Rockets, for the most part, James has been the best scorer in the league. And the Rockets have paired him with Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, and Russell Westbrook. The Chris Paul pairing turned out to have worked the best, and it makes sense. Every single postseason, James Harden and the whole
I do think if Chris Paul would have been more in his prime, or we're really, even Chris Paul didn't, like, with James Harden wasn't like the worst thing in the world. The issue was Chris Paul getting injured in the playoffs. So if he was healthy the entire time, I mean, I still think that probably had the greatest potential, personally.
Rockets team just goes on these stretches of the most inconsistent basketball we've ever seen. So CP3, one of the most consistent players ever, was the perfect balance to try and prevent that, as well as his leadership, defense, and willingness to take a step back. Well, when they traded him for Russell Westbrook, it really seemed like they were just going all in, one big final risk to try and win James a championship. And now, they've tried everything, playing him with a good big man with superstars, playing big, playing small, and nothing has worked, so the only thing left to do really is try to...
Okay, I will say when it comes to James Harden, I don't think they've tried everything. I think they've tried too many extreme methods. They went the method of the old traditional Dwight Howard on the inside type of center, and, like, that just isn't where the NBA was headed at that time, and it's not where the NBA is at now. And now they went to the extreme of, like, extreme small ball. What I want to see is a team built around Harden, like the Milwaukee Bucks did with Giannis. I want them to have, a center that's not 5'2", but, a normal 6'11" center that can shoot threes, which, is kind of be tough to find, like a Brook Lopez or Miles Turner. I want that. And I want them to also, get them a low-key all-star. And what I mean by that, with somebody like a Chris Middleton, where it's like they're cool with being that second option, but they're going to be very efficient. And, surround James Harden just with, like, shooters and defenders and see how that goes. But we have not really seen that yet. We've seen parts of that, with this latest small ball, but it turns out the small ball, while it does work at times, the big thing is like Anthony Davis, there was just no way to stop him, and they were not prepared to take that on. So I still don't think, I don't think James Harden's the issue. I think it's the systems built around James Harden that's been the issue.
Trade James Harden, and they can either go for a rebuild or try to win with Westbrook. So there's a few options. I mean, you go for a rebuild and trade James to the Nuggets for Michael Porter Jr., Bol, either Gary Harris or Will Barton to fill salary
about 3
space.
first-round
And Denver
picks,
now
too.
has the best big 3 in the NBA, and the Rockets have a few future stars in their hands. Then I also want to say a trade to Philly could work too. But
I don't think
it's
the Nuggets
tough
want
because
James Harden.
Philly would probably want to trade James
ball would
Harden
be
for
out
Ben
of,
Simmons to make a Harden and Embiid duo, since a
Jokic's
Harden and
hands too
Simmons
much.
duo probably wouldn't be great. While on the the other hand, the Rockets would probably want the opposite. They'd want Joel Embiid for Harden to have a Westbrook and Embiid duo.
Wouldn't that be something?
Since also a Simmons and Westbrook duo wouldn't be that good either. So it's tough, but I'm sure there's something there. Number 2, Nicola Vucevic. Okay, let's calm things down for a minute. So we're switching to a star that's a little less controversial. And I mean, this one doesn't really need explanation. There's no reason the Magic are still holding on to him. They need to trade Nicola for younger players not currently in their primes and get out of the playoffs. They could get a lot for him too. He's not as flashy, but he just put up 28 and 11 on 40% from 3 while taking 9.
I mean, honestly, I do want to see Mo Bamba, that's his name. Mo Bamba. I want to see him play a lot more. I will say that. But at the same time, like, the Magic are, like, not in, like, the worst play. Well, they are kind of in that mediocre phase right now, but I do think that they were able to get, like, a decent, like, scoring small forward. I like Evan Fournier if Marco Fultz could break out a little bit more. You know, obviously, Chuma Okeke going to be back next season for his first season, obviously. And then obviously get the 4 spot with Vucevic at the 5. Like, that still has decent potential in the Eastern Conference. But yeah, it's not going to win you a championship by any stretch of the imagination.
9 attempts a game against
the
Bucks.
But it's kind of an
That's
intriguing
crazy,
team, though.
And a team could really use him. But right now, we're not going to be like the Orlando Magic and look for some trades and then just take the worst one possible like they always do. We're actually going to come up with a couple of good trades for him. Like, maybe trade him to the Nets for a deal centered around Jared Allen and Spencer Dinwiddie.
It's interesting.
Or even for a guy like Karis LeVert, who needs to find a new team. But that one's not the best. Or maybe even a deal to the Warriors for Andrew Wiggins. The Magic would have to add more to it on their side. But hey, even though Vucevic only averaged 20 and 10 this season, that doesn't mean he wouldn't be more than worth it for the Warriors. I mean, a center in his prime that can shoot threes better than almost any big man in the league sounds like a perfect fit in Golden State.
Is he that good at threes?
Wiggins is young enough to fit right in with the Magic. For number 3 and 4, we have to go over to the Spurs for DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge.
I want to see LaMarcus go to the Portland Trail Blazers and finish out his years there. And I want to see DeMar DeRozan go to... I don't know, man. Honestly, I still don't think the Magic would be well, it wouldn't be great. Because Markelle Fultz can't really shoot, so him with DeMar would be a little sloppy. I don't know, man. DeMar's definitely got a home somewhere. He's still a good player. I just don't know where that's at.
And okay, the Spurs maybe shouldn't trade either of these guys because both of their $27 million contracts
I might put DeMar on the
Trailblazers
also.
Then they'll have $54 million of free salary space to use. But if they can find some really good deals, they should take them. Because a lot of teams with overpaid players would line right up and trade their young players or their picks to clear up some of their salary space. But the thing is, I don't know that the Spurs would take on bad contracts to get assets in return. They've never seemed like the kind of team to do that. So I really don't know where either of these guys could or should end up. If you have any ideas though, definitely comment them down below and let me know, because I got nothing. Number 5. Okay, I was gonna put number 5 as Damian Lillard, and based on the Blazers track record, I probably should. In the past like 8 years since he's been there, the only good teammates they've gotten for him was CJ McCollum, who they drafted, and Carmelo Anthony, who they got this past year. And besides that, Dame's...
Well, a lot of that is just it's not so much like a lack of getting good players around Damian. The big time issue is that they've given out a lot of bad contracts. A lot of bad contracts. I wouldn't name the players, but I can't because they were those bad of players, man. I think Evan Turner, did he get a really bad contract? There was a lot of bad contracts given out by the Portland Trail Blazers over the years that just locked up so much money.
It's just pretty much carried the Blazers. But even still, think about the fact that, including this year, the Blazers have been swept for the past 4 straight seasons. And a trade with Dame is 99.9% not going to happen. For one, because he already said he wants to play his whole career there. And the second reason is why I didn't really want to officially put him on this list in the first place. Because Hassan Whiteside's $27 million contract just expired, which means they now have the ability this offseason to bring in another near-max player. And that could really be the difference.
I wonder who they would go for
them. If they don't though and somehow mess this up, even if he doesn't want to be, there's no denying that Lillard needs to be traded. Number 6, Chris Paul. This year CP3's proved that he's still got it, and whatever team he ends up on, he's gonna make a huge difference there. And while the Thunder have him, even though this year was a huge learning experience for all of their young players, they don't need CP3. They have a monster amount of future draft picks, and this year they proved they were good, but aren't in any position to win a championship in the near future. And a team would still offer a pretty good amount for Chris, so they can take their time finding a good trade for him. And if they do decide to make the move,
I think they should trade with the Milwaukee Bucks. I would do a trade of Eric Bledsoe. Well, what's Bledsoe's contract? Is it might be like 1 or 2 more years left on? I don't know. I would take Eric Bledsoe, but I would also ask for Dante DiVincenzo. And then maybe even like a protected first round pick. I feel like that could probably get it done. Obviously, getting Dante would be the big time piece for the OKC Thunder. Him and Jay could be a pretty nice future together. And then like Eric Bledsoe, just like a filler, just like, hey, like this is a good veteran player, but we're taking on his contract. And then obviously a pick would be nice too.
A lot of people are saying a trade to the Bucks should happen, but they really don't have any young assets to trade to a young team that would make sense for them. So I think they're out, but a trade to the 76ers could work. Trade him for Tobias Harris, who's still relatively young, Matisse Thybulle, and some draft picks. For Philly, they'd be able to transition Ben Simmons to another position, get the leader that team desperately needs. And for OKC, they'd take on a bad contract, but a player that could still help them out, a solid young player, and add on to all of their draft picks.
I like Matisse Thybulle a lot.
Unless the 76ers do something crazy with their roster, they should consider trading Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid. And we've talked about them a bunch already, but for good reason. I do think their first priority should be trading away some of their other players and try to make a big three here. But if they can't, they should look into trading either Ben or Joel, because with what was supposed to be a super team, things just haven't worked out as planned. For Ben,
but I still don't think that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are the issue. I feel like the issue was that Tobias Harris did not play up to his contract. Al Horford played like an aged, really old guy, and Josh Richardson was just kind of sloppy at times. I still don't think those guys were the issue, and I don't know, man. Like that's just like. That's how I felt all season.
And I mean, this one isn't the best, but maybe they look towards Golden State. The Warriors could trade Andrew Wiggins and the second overall pick for Ben. And yeah, that's a little much, but it could be the best deal the Warriors will get with that pick. Plus the way that they could transition Ben over to power forward, let Draymond play center like he used to, and it would give them a star lineup now and help them build towards their future. While for Philly, they get a young Andrew Wiggins, and with the second overall pick, maybe draft LaMelo Ball at point guard. I mean, sounds like a win-win to me. Then there were some other deals I saw for him, like to the Pelicans, the Thunder, and the Bulls, but they didn't make as much sense. For Joel Embiid though, if they wanted to trade him, I mean, you gotta look at the Warriors deal again. They could make that same trade for Joel, and if it's not the Warriors, it really is hard to find a trade for Embiid
give you Tony Snell and a third overall pick.
The Warriors one honestly works
third round draft pick,
and if it's not them, maybe a trade to the Hawks would be better. They could offer a deal centered around their 6th pick this year, along with say Clint Capella and maybe 1 or 2 players out of John Collins, DeAndre Hunter, or Cam Reddish. Then they'd be able to pair Trae Young with Joel Embiid, and Trae's exactly the type of point guard that Embiid needs to play with. Throw in Kevin Huerter, who's a good shooter, and some of their other young players, and this team's only a few pieces away from being a real threat in the playoffs. But even then, this deal isn't a great one for what Philly needs right now. So I don't know, maybe they don't trade Embiid. Number 8, Kevin Love. Kevin Love's like Nicola Vucevic. He needs to be traded for obvious reasons that I really don't need.
He needs to be traded, and also we've been talking about this man being traded for about 5 seasons now, it seems like.
Into. He's in his prime and can still be a huge help for a lot of playoff
Portland,
teams, like the Denver Nuggets. Paul Millsap's contract's expiring this year, so they could bring in Kevin to fill in his place, and I think he'd be a great fit. He'd space the floor, could run the floor with the team, and wouldn't get in Jokic's way. Denver might have to give up Michael Porter Jr. to get him though, because him and Bobo are their only young assets that Cleveland would really want, and that might be a little too much to give up for Kevin Love. So maybe Cleveland throws in either Darius Garland or Colin Sexton too, since they need to trade one of them.
That's the Cavs are giving up way too much in that case. Colin Sexton's really good. I would not do that trade if I was Cleveland, to be honest. Like Michael Porter's could be great and everything, but I don't know.
So that could work. And I also saw some talk for trade to the Raptors, which would be okay. But they do already have Siakam, and I hope they re-sign Serge Ibaka. And if they do, I mean, try Pascal out at small forward, play Love at power forward, then Serge at center. It'd give them a pretty serious lineup, and they need to make at least some changes this
tall ball for sure.
So that's an option. And I saw some people saying the Phoenix Suns too, which I wouldn't be mad at. I don't have a particular trade scenario for them, but trading for Love would finally make them a real playoff team. And it would be a much needed step in the right direction for them and Devin Booker's willingness to stay. Number 9, Paul George. I mean, this is probably just heat of the moment because it just recently happened. But
put back on the Pacers.
Seeing the performance or lack of performance that Way Off Peach put into display this postseason, I'm seriously considering trading him. You got a team that was expected to win a championship this year, and Kawhi was doing his thing, averaging 28, 9, and 5. But then you got PG putting up 9 or 10 points in every other game of this postseason, and that would mean he's just got to go.
What do you get for him?
He's slowly becoming the next star that just falls off, or he just doesn't fit in with the Clippers. Either way, though, it's not a good sign for them, and maybe they should do something. I have no idea where they trade him though, because a player like Paul George can really fit in on any team. Well, apparently any team besides the Clippers. But I don't know, maybe a team like the Jazz make a big move and try to trade him for Rudy Gobert or something. The Jazz might need to switch things up too, so that'd be interesting. Again though, maybe I'm overreacting. It was only his first year there, but it was also Kawhi's first year there too, and he made the transition
first
smoothly.
Year and the bubble.
Number 10, Bradley Beal. We're ending things out with an obvious one here. Beal's in his prime right now, and with John Wall's contract, the Wizards aren't in any position to win for years, even with Bradley on the team. They need to not waste his
mean, I don't think they're a championship team by any stretch, but, if John Wall can have a Derrick Rose type of comeback, I mean, that's still one of the best backcourts in the NBA. Combine that with Rui Hachimura and whoever they get in the draft. I don't know. I think the Wizards are, assuming John Wall is healthy next year and good to go, I think they're going to make some noise out there. Believe it or
talent
not.
any more than they already have and just finally trade him. And the Nuggets have always been an option for that, but a newer deal that I found could end up working out even better, which is one to the Brooklyn Nets, where in exchange for Beal, the Nets would send over a deal revolving around Spencer Dinwiddie, Caris LeVert, and Jarrett Allen, which could give Brooklyn a 5 of Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, Joe Harris, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah,
and it would give the Wizards a point guard entering his prime, a young center with a lot of potential, and then Caris LeVert who has star potential. And the Nets really need to trade Caris LeVert anyways, because he's not going to fit in once KD is back. And for the Wizards, once John Wall is back, Spencer Dinwiddie can still come off the bench like he's used to, while Jarrett Allen would be in the starting lineup. I feel like for this one, the Nets
I might even consider using Caris LeVert as Lou Williams off the bench or something, man. Just, having that guy that obviously should be starting, but, could just be a big-time scorer. I feel like those are pretty important in the NBA, so... if he doesn't work in the starting 5, I don't know. I would probably consider. I think Caris LeVert, given his injury history, would probably be okay with that too. Playing 25 minutes a game or something.
Would be giving up a little too much, so maybe they get some picks in return, or maybe even the Nets throw in some picks and try and get Davis Bertans. Either way though, if this deal went through, it'd solve a lot of problems for both teams. So surprisingly, there turned out to be a lot of star players that teams really need to trade. There wasn't a ton of different destinations for all of them, but comment any of them that I might have missed, or any blockbuster trades that...
What do you guys think, man? Do you guys like these trades? I don't know. I don't say when it comes to superstars, it just always intrigues me whenever a trade does go through, because rarely is it ever fair. You know what I'm saying? Where sometimes it just, you don't really get equal value. It's like one team usually is giving up more than the other. But I don't know, man. What do you guys all think? Thank you all so much for watching, and peace out, my friends.